People often believe that important lessons arrive loudly, announced with certainty and confidence, but the most meaningful reminders usually come quietly. They appear through lived experience, through years of resilience, through moments when life does not go according to plan and yet something valuable is learned anyway. Wisdom does not rush. It matures slowly, shaped by hardship, patience, and the courage to keep going even when the future feels unclear. This kind of wisdom does not demand attention, but it stays with you once you recognize it. Life does not owe anyone an easy path, and it rarely follows the timeline we imagine when we are young. We grow up believing there is a right age for everything, a correct order in which success, stability, love, and fulfillment should arrive. When life deviates from that script, self-doubt creeps in. We question our worth, our abilities, and our decisions. Yet the truth is that life is not linear, and comparing your journey to someone else's only distracts you from the value of your own experience. Many people discover their strength only after they are forced to rely on it. Challenges reveal qualities we did not know we possessed. Being underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed can feel painful, but it also builds a quiet determination that no praise ever could. When you learn to stand on your own, when you learn to trust your instincts despite external noise, you develop a kind of independence that becomes invaluable over time. There is an illusion that confidence must be loud to be real. In reality, the most enduring confidence is calm and steady. It does not seek approval. It does not need to dominate conversations or prove itself constantly. It simply exists, rooted in self-respect and experience. This kind of confidence grows when you take responsibility for your life, when you accept your flaws without letting them define you, and when you understand that growth is a lifelong process. Failure is often misunderstood. It is not the opposite of success but part of it. Every meaningful life includes moments of disappointment, loss, and regret. What matters is not avoiding failure, but learning how to respond to it. You can allow failure to harden you, or you can let it teach you. The lesson may be uncomfortable, but it is rarely wasted unless you refuse to listen. There will be times when survival itself is an achievement. During those seasons, progress may look slow or invisible. You may feel as though you are merely enduring rather than advancing. But endurance builds resilience, and resilience changes how you face the world. You emerge from hardship with a deeper understanding of yourself and a clearer sense of what truly matters. People often underestimate the power of consistency. Small efforts, repeated over time, create results that dramatic actions cannot sustain. Showing up every day, even imperfectly, shapes your character and your future. Motivation may come and go, but discipline carries you through uncertainty. When you commit to doing your best with what you have, where you are, you build momentum that eventually opens doors. Life also teaches humility. No matter how capable or prepared you are, there will always be elements beyond your control. Accepting this does not mean surrendering ambition. It means learning when to push forward and when to let go. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Control what you can, release what you cannot, and trust that not everything needs to be forced. There is a quiet dignity in starting over. Society often treats reinvention as a failure, as though changing direction means you were wrong before. In truth, the ability to begin again is a strength. It requires honesty, courage, and self-awareness. Growth demands flexibility, and those who adapt often go further than those who cling rigidly to outdated versions of themselves. Age is frequently misunderstood as a limitation. In reality, experience refines judgment, patience, and perspective. With time, priorities shift. What once seemed urgent may lose importance, while values like integrity, kindness, and inner peace gain significance. The pressure to impress fades, replaced by a desire to live meaningfully and authentically. Kindness remains one of the most underrated strengths. It costs little but carries immense power. Choosing kindness does not mean avoiding boundaries or tolerating disrespect. It means recognizing the humanity in others without sacrificing your own. Over time, kindness builds trust, strengthens relationships, and creates a legacy that achievements alone cannot secure. There will be moments when your efforts go unnoticed. This can be discouraging, especially when you are working hard and making sacrifices. But recognition is not the measure of value. Much of the most important work happens quietly, without applause. Foundations are built below the surface long before anything visible appears. Self-care is often misunderstood as indulgence, but it is essential. Caring for your physical and mental well-being allows you to show up fully for the responsibilities you carry. Rest is not weakness. It is preparation. A life lived in constant exhaustion cannot sustain purpose or joy. It is also important to understand that you are allowed to change. You are allowed to grow beyond the expectations others place on you. You are allowed to let go of dreams that no longer align with who you are becoming. Growth is not betrayal of the past, it is respect for the present. Comparison quietly erodes contentment. When you measure your life against curated images of other success, you lose sight of your own progress. Every person faces struggles unseen by the public eye. Focus on your own path. Progress does not need witnesses to be real. Hard times test patience, but they also clarify values. When life becomes difficult, you learn what you truly care about and who truly supports you. These lessons, though painful, often lead to deeper self-awareness and stronger relationships. Confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. Small commitments honored daily build trust within. This internal trust becomes the foundation for external confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself, external validation becomes less necessary. A meaningful life is not defined by perfection. It is defined by effort, intention, and the willingness to keep learning. Mistakes do not disqualify you from growth. They remind you that you are human, evolving, and capable of change. As time passes, success begins to look different. It becomes less about recognition and more about alignment. Living in accordance with your values brings a sense of peace that achievements alone cannot provide. True success feels calm, not frantic. You will encounter opinions from every direction. Listen thoughtfully, but choose carefully which voices influence you. Not all advice is meant for you. Trust your inner compass. It has been shaped by experience, reflection, and resilience. Life is built one ordinary day at a time. It is shaped by habits, choices, and quiet perseverance. You do not need to be exceptional every day. You only need to remain honest, consistent, and kind to yourself. There is strength in patience, courage in humility, and power in persistence. Growth rarely announces itself. It happens gradually, often unnoticed, until one day you realize how far you have come. If there is one reminder worth holding on to, it is this: your journey does not need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful. You are allowed to evolve, to struggle, to rebuild, and to succeed in your own time. Keep moving forward, even when the steps are small. Over time, those small steps create a life grounded in resilience, wisdom, and quiet confidence. There comes a moment in life when you realize that chasing approval is exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. The need to be seen, praised, or validated can quietly shape decisions in ways that pull you away from your true self. Letting go of that need is not instant, it is a gradual release. It happens when you understand that your worth does not increase when others applaud, nor does it diminish when they remain silent. Peace begins when you choose authenticity over acceptance. Many people underestimate how much strength it takes to remain gentle in a world that often rewards hardness. Softness is not weakness. It is restraint. It is choosing understanding over reaction, reflection over impulse. A gentle spirit that has endured difficulty carries a depth that force can never replicate. When kindness survives adversity, it becomes wisdom. There is also a certain freedom in accepting that you cannot be everything to everyone. Trying to meet every expectation will only scatter your energy and dilute your purpose. Boundaries are not walls, they are guides. They teach others how to treat you and teach you how to protect what matters most. Saying no is sometimes the most respectful way to say yes to yourself. Over time, you begin to understand that success without peace is a hollow victory. You may achieve milestones, earn titles, or gain recognition, but if your inner world is in constant turmoil, the cost is too high. A balanced life is not one without ambition, but one where ambition does not consume identity. The most fulfilled people are often those who know when enough is enough. There will be periods when loneliness visits, even when you are surrounded by people. This kind of loneliness is not about absence but about understanding. It is the feeling that your inner world is unseen. During these moments, self-compassion becomes essential. Learning to sit with yourself, to listen rather than escape, builds emotional strength that deepens with time. Patience is a quiet discipline. It teaches you to trust timing even when progress feels slow. Not everything unfolds on demand. And not every effort produces immediate results. Some outcomes need distance to mature. When you learn to wait without resentment, you cultivate inner stability. Patience does not delay success, it prepares you to sustain it. Life also teaches the importance of adaptability. Circumstances change, sometimes suddenly, sometimes gradually. What worked before may no longer serve you. Clinging to outdated methods or identities can limit growth. Adaptability is not about losing yourself, it is about refining who you are in response to experience. There is wisdom in observing rather than reacting. Silence, when chosen intentionally, can be more powerful than argument. Listening allows understanding. And understanding often resolves what force cannot. The ability to pause before responding is a skill that deepens relationships and strengthens judgment. Gratitude, though simple, transforms perspective. It does not deny difficulty, but it balances it. When you acknowledge what remains steady during times of uncertainty, resilience grows. Gratitude shifts focus from scarcity to sufficiency, from loss to presence. Over time, this shift changes how you experience life itself. One of the most overlooked lessons is that growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels rewarding. Discomfort is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it is evidence that something is changing. Learning to tolerate discomfort without retreat builds confidence and emotional maturity. As years pass, you begin to see that legacy is not built through grand gestures alone. It is built through daily conduct, through how you treat people when no advantage is gained, through how you handle disappointment, and through the values you model consistently. Legacy lives in influence, not image. There is also a deep sense of fulfillment that comes from self-trust. When you trust your ability to navigate uncertainty, fear loses its grip. This trust does not mean believing you will never struggle, it means believing you can handle struggle when it comes. That belief alone changes how you approach challenges. Rest deserves respect. Pushing endlessly may produce short-term results, but sustainability requires restoration. Learning when to pause is an act of wisdom, not laziness. In stillness, clarity often emerges. In rest, creativity renews itself. Life will continue to surprise you. Some surprises will delight, others will disappoint. Meeting both with composure is a skill earned through experience. Emotional balance does not eliminate pain, but it prevents pain from defining you. There is a quiet pride that comes from knowing you did your best with what you knew at the time. Self-forgiveness allows growth to continue without being anchored to regret. You cannot change the past, but you can choose how it shapes your future. Eventually, you realize that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. Nurturing that relationship requires honesty, patience, and respect. When you treat yourself with fairness, the world feels less hostile and more navigable. Life does not require perfection. It asks for presence. Showing up fully, even imperfectly, creates meaning. The courage to continue, the humility to learn, and the grace to forgive are qualities that quietly shape a well-lived life, and so, you keep going. Not because everything is easy, but because you have learned that resilience grows through movement. Step by step, choice by choice, you shape a life grounded in self-awareness. Endurance, and quiet strength, you will learn that life often rewards persistence more than talent, and patience more than speed. The efforts you make when no one is watching, the small acts of discipline, honesty, and care, compound quietly over time. These are the actions that build character, forge resilience, and create foundations for opportunities that may not yet be visible. Success is rarely a sudden explosion, it is the accumulation of consistent, thoughtful effort, repeated day after day, year after year. It is easy to be discouraged when the world seems to move faster than you can keep up. Social comparisons, fleeting trends, and visible milestones can make your own progress feel insignificant. But meaningful growth is rarely immediate or flashy. Like a tree, it starts with roots growing quietly beneath the surface before branches and leaves appear for all to see. Trust in the process, and allow your roots to deepen, courage is not always dramatic. Often it is subtle, showing up when you are afraid, speaking truth when silence would be easier, maintaining integrity when compromise would be convenient. These quiet acts of courage are not always acknowledged, but they matter more than the applause of the world. They matter to you, and over time, they matter to those whose lives intersect with yours. You will also learn that vulnerability is not weakness. It is honesty. To acknowledge uncertainty, fear, or pain is not to surrender, it is to engage with life fully. Vulnerability fosters connection, empathy, and understanding, and these are the qualities that shape enduring relationships. Over time, the courage to be open creates depth and intimacy that no facade of perfection ever could. Life will test your patience repeatedly. You may work tirelessly toward a goal, only to face delays, obstacles, or unforeseen changes. In these moments, patience is not passive, it is active perseverance. Patience allows you to navigate uncertainty without losing composure. It gives you space to reflect, adjust, and continue moving forward without desperation or fear guiding your choices. Mistakes, too, will become familiar companions. Some will be private, others painfully visible. Do not let them define you. Each error is a teacher in disguise, offering lessons about judgment, humility, and perspective. When approached with reflection rather than regret, mistakes transform into tools for growth rather than chains of limitation. There is a quiet magic in taking responsibility for your life, rather than blaming circumstances or other people. Ownership of your decisions does not remove hardship, but it restores power. When you acknowledge that you can influence your path, even in small ways, a sense of agency arises that fear and doubt cannot easily shake. You may encounter people who doubt, dismiss, or oppose you. Their opinions, though sometimes loud and persistent, do not determine your worth. You do not need to meet every expectation, nor do you need to justify your choices to those who refuse to understand your journey. Trust your instincts, honor your values, and move forward with dignity. It is also worth remembering that joy does not always arrive in grand, obvious forms. Often it exists in small, quiet moments: the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the comfort of a kind word, the satisfaction of completing a task well, or the laughter shared with someone who understands you. These moments, accumulated over a lifetime, create the texture of a life well lived. You will discover that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. No one succeeds entirely alone, and no one carries all burdens without support. Reaching out when needed fosters community, builds trust, and allows collaboration in ways that solitary effort cannot. It is an acknowledgement that life is meant to be shared, even when independence feels necessary. Time itself becomes a teacher. As years pass, urgency softens, and the priorities that once seemed critical may fade in importance. What truly endures are the qualities cultivated within: resilience, kindness, integrity, curiosity, and the ability to act with purpose. Achievements are fleeting, but character lasts. You will also realize that letting go can be one of the strongest acts of courage. Letting go of grudges, outdated expectations, unhelpful habits, and even relationships that no longer align with your growth is not failure. It is clarity. It is making space for new possibilities, new experiences, and new connections. Life moves forward when you release what cannot serve your present or future. Finally, you will come to understand that your life is uniquely yours, and comparing it to anyone else's is futile. Each journey has its rhythm, its challenges, and its hidden triumphs. What matters is that you move forward authentically, in alignment with your values, and with a willingness to embrace growth wherever it appears. The path may be winding, the pace uneven, but every honest step contributes to a life of meaning, strength, and quiet fulfillment. As your journey continues, you will notice that the most profound transformations often happen quietly, without fanfare or announcement. The changes within you, the subtle shifts in perspective, the growing patience, the strengthening of resolve, are the true markers of progress. These are the things that define a life well lived, far more than accolades, wealth, or recognition ever could. You will understand that every season of life has its purpose. Difficulties teach endurance. Failures teach humility. Joy teaches gratitude. Even moments of doubt, confusion, or fear carry lessons if you are willing to pay attention. Life is less about avoiding hardship and more about learning how to navigate it with grace and resilience. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the permission to be imperfect. Striving for excellence is admirable, but expecting perfection is paralyzing. When you embrace your humanity, your strengths and flaws alike, you free yourself to grow authentically. Mistakes are not signs of inadequacy, they are proof that you are engaged in the work of living fully. You will also discover that hope is a quiet companion, often arriving when you least expect it. Hope is not naive, it is courageous. It is the belief that the effort you make today can lead to meaningful outcomes tomorrow, even if the path is unclear. Holding on to hope allows you to keep moving forward, even when progress feels invisible. The people you meet along the way, the connections you cultivate, and the impact you have on others matter more than any personal achievement. Acts of kindness, empathy, and integrity ripple outward, touching lives in ways you may never witness. In the end, the measure of a life is not in what you accumulate, but in how you influence, uplift, and inspire those around you. As you reflect on your journey, remember that you are allowed to evolve continuously. You are allowed to change your mind, shift directions, pursue new dreams, and release old ones. Your story does not have to follow anyone else's blueprint. Its value lies in your authenticity, courage, and willingness to engage with life fully, in every season. Above all, remember that you are not alone in the struggle, nor are you insignificant in your efforts. Every quiet choice, every step taken despite fear, and every act of persistence contributes to a life of meaning. Your resilience compounds over time, shaping a future that reflects the strength and wisdom you cultivate today. When the noise fades, when expectations soften, and when the world's demands quiet down, you will see that the life you have built is enough. It is not defined by external approval or by the pace of others. It is defined by your consistency, your courage, your kindness, and your capacity to keep going, step by step, day by day. So, move forward with confidence, even when the road is uncertain. Nurture your inner strength, honor your values, and trust your instincts. Take the small steps, make the quiet choices, and keep believing in your worth. Over time, those efforts accumulate into a life that is strong, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. And finally, remember this gentle truth: you do not need to be perfect, you do not need to be seen, and you do not need to rush. All you need is to keep showing up, to keep learning, to keep being kind, and to keep believing in yourself. The quiet, steady work of living with courage, integrity, and hope is more than enough to create a life worth celebrating. Your journey, with all its twists, pauses, and breakthroughs, is a remarkable story. It is yours. Cherish it, trust it, and continue walking it with quiet confidence and unwavering faith in your own path.